women, when we do the same diets as white women, we lose less weight and we lose it slower. The racism that you're experiencing and the struggle to make ends meet actually means the diet don't work for you the same.
Right.
I'd rather be too skinny than too big. Step forward if you agree with the prompt.
Now let's see what they gotta say.
I feel like it's obvious for us. Like, I wouldn't have done this if I didn't want to be skinny. So of course I would rather be skinny than what my definition of too big even is. Like,
yeah. Ever since starting recovery, I've really tried to preach to myself like the health benefits of gaining weight and, you know, being in a healthier body. But at the end of the day, I am a flawed teenage girl. I'm a product of our society where they put standards on women to, you know, look a certain way.
It's not just women. They put the standards on men as well, but it's another thing that's really disappointing about our society is that the way she's speaking, it's a victimization. It is constantly trying to find others to excuse your own behaviors and your own beliefs. So you attach to things to try to escape the accountability for your own individual actions. And to me, it's cowardice.
And, you know, whether I do want to fit in with standards or whether I choose not to fit in with certain standards, there's still going to be something ingrained in me that, like, I would want to rather be thin than be overweight.
yeah.
Not even using the term like overweight for me, because I always felt like I was too big, tall for my age, so I felt big compared to the boys in my classes or compared to my family or whatever it was. So I feel like that, like, feeling too big is what led me to where I was when I was anorexic and things like that. But I'm actually wondering, for you, what has caused you to kind of have the opinion of you would rather be too skinny than too big? Like, is it something specific that you've gone through that gave you that opinion?
Yeah, I guess life. Life has given me that opinion. I obviously I don't see it from the same way. I see it from, for me, like, you know, getting bigger is easier, right? So being too skinny, I feel like it's easy for me to recover from that. I just go to my no-nos.
Both of them are easy if you think about it. It's essentially a game of addition and subtraction. Which is easier to do? Which is easier to grasp? They're essentially both easy. People make it seem as it's difficult to lose weight when it really isn't. It's as simple as calories in versus calories out. If you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight, period. If you are in a calorie surplus, you're going to gain weight, period. That's it. Like, people make it too much of a deal when it's not. It's very simplistic.
I've tried just about everything, and I can't seem to lose weight.
What if I told you there was something you could do?
Really? What? I'll do anything.
Eat less, move more.
And?
That's it.
But how does it work?
It's simple, really. You eat less food, and you move around more than you do now.
It gets more complicated the more you describe it. Isn't there a pill I could take?
Haven't you taken...
I'm a big guy. It's hard to find clothes. If you're small, you wear, I guess if you're too small, I guess your clothes are a little baggy. And sure, if you care about fashion, that's a big deal. But I'm not trying to wear crop tops, so I would appreciate my shirt to fit. And it costs more money. I have to go out and I have to go buy bigger shirts and bigger pants and all of that. I can feel the weight daily, especially at the end of the night. Gravity is acting on all of us, and I can feel my mass acting on me. You know, it's great that it's given me, you know, these thunderous calves that I can run around with, but I overall would much more appreciate being too skinny than too fat.
I really want to agree with what you said about feeling like too big. Would you agree that, like, you don't want to feel like too big? You'd rather,
100%.
yeah. I think my onset was kind of bullying. I thought if I lost a little bit of weight and I didn't feel too big anymore, no one could ever bully me again. Like freshman year, that one, friend who wasn't really a friend was horrible for me, and that's kind of what started my spiral. I remember thinking, I was like, I want people to like me. I want, to be accepted. And I thought that being skinny, or not even.
And that mindset is a failing, but I understand when you're young, you can fall into that. But as you grow older, people need to tell you the want to be desired and accepted by everyone is a fundamental flaw because it can never be achieved. And the pursuit of that is always going to lead you down a road where you're going to be doing things you don't want to do, but you're doing to appease others.
People would like me because I'm skinny. And I feel like to an extent, unfortunately, that's kind of true. People pay more attention to you when you fit those standards.
Do you mind if I ask, where do you guys tend to feel that pressure from? Because I always hear, obviously, that it tends to hit women more. But I mean, knowing my fellow man, we look at girls, doesn't matter. You could be 40 more pounds, 30 less pounds. We're fine. It's where do you?
Not necessarily true, but I get his point. Men are not that picky in terms of weight in general. However, the 40 and the 60 pound, it depends on where you're at. For an example, if you're 200 pounds, some men, depending on how that weight looks on you, won't give it any attention. But if you add a 40 to that, and let's say you're 240, it could be a difference enough that enough men will be like, yeah, I'm not interested. But again, it does depend on your height. That plays a factor into it, and where the weight is shifted around your body.
Do you guys feel like you get that pressure from?
I kind of feel like comparison.
Comparison for the most.
I mean, especially in our position, eating disorders are so insanely competitive, and we're constantly comparing each other.
Yeah, me and my friends would weigh ourselves in front of each other and see
which ones.
Really?
Yeah. So bad. Yeah.
I get a high weighing less than my little sister who's shorter than me. Unfortunately, it's
That's weird as hell, especially if there's a massive age gap. That's like, imagine that. Let's say, I don't know what her age is. Let's say she's 19 and she's comparing herself to her sister. Let's say hypothetically is 10. That's dumb. Could you imagine constantly comparing yourself to someone 9 years younger than you? That's not a one-up. That's not a win. That's a big L.
But it's, it's horrible, but it's
the truth.
Yeah.
Whether it's a celebrity or a family member or a friend or, anybody.
Celebrities are crazy.
Celebrities too. Like, that's a very real, especially with reality TV shows, and there's Love Island, and they're all in bikinis, and they all have fake boobs and, whatever, and they look amazing all the time. And then you're like, well, I want to look like that. And,
And then when I was losing a ton of weight from starving myself, I had my friends be like, you look great, or they'd be like, oh, I lost 20 pounds, but I still don't look like you. And I'm like, it was encouraging to
You're in a bubble of weirdos. That's the first. And second, because you're in your bubble, you think you're this hot shit. I'm telling you, for many people, you are too skinny, and you are not the thing they want to be.
To me, and I was like, wow, people people look like me, people like that I look this skinny. But then realistically, it did not obviously look good. But I was getting compliments from people that wanted to be skinny like me, but I was like, you don't want to do what I did.
Have you ever got a compliment from when you've gained a bit more weight?
Yeah. I remember my ex was very, he didn't like how skinny I was. He said that it looked unhealthy, it looked really bad. He felt uncomfortable touching, my arm and stuff like that. And then
And out of curiosity, because she's wearing something really baggy, I wonder how her arm actually does look. And again, if you're too skinny, that is dangerous. No one should champion that or tell people that you need to be that size. It's dangerous.
When I did, meet up with him a few months later and I had ended up gaining some weight, he was like, you look really healthy, but it was still all in my head.
Yeah.
It's tricky when people compliment you after you gain weight.
So you look so good.
Or you look so healthy. All I hear is you look bigger.
Can we have the disagree?
It's tricky for people who are lost in the sauce and really think that they're supposed to look like Skeletor without the muscles. And I'm like, no.
So you guys brought up about comparison. I've learned after reading a couple of articles or books or spiritually trying to heal that, I've learned that comparison is the greatest thief of joy. So that kind of altered my mindset, because it's like, as much as like I want to compare and be like, I want to be super fit, but I'm not even their ethnicity. Like my rib cages are different. That's also not saying that I don't think I can be the fit and the best version of me that I want to be. Not that I need to be, because what I need and want is very different. So that's why I found like interesting about you guys talking about comparison and how.
That was a word salad. That was a bunch of bullshit I just heard right there. Your ethnicity doesn't have anything to do with how massive you are. That's all based off of what you've decided to stuff down your throat and eat on a constant basis. That is why you are where you are, not your ethnicity at all.
How that impacted you guys?
Is there like any part of you that is like wants to be, how do I explain it? Like, you know that it's healthier to be
definitely.
like skinnier.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not healthier. That's not, I guess the end goal for me, skinny just means so much more different, because skinny has been projected onto me a lot of different ways. It's been sexualized. It's been a mechanism for me to fight men off, to keep the pounds on. Then again, to keep.
Oh my God, that is such a bad defense mechanism. And whoever sold you on that wants to see you in your grave.
When I experienced restricting eating, I was so unhealthy when I was restricting myself. And I wouldn't say I was anorexic if you looked at me, but I was doing behaviors and I was barely eating. I felt super sick every day. I felt like I was gonna pass out, and I was also playing sports. I was just extremely unhealthy, even though I looked thin. And it was that same thing of like people being like, you look so good. And I'm like, you don't understand.
They need to give a visual example of this to really see what she's trying to describe. Because when I'm looking at her and I'm saying, hey, you were thinner, what is that? What does that look like?
And how bad I feel right now. Like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. And I felt like I was doing it a good thing, because people would compliment me, and I was like, this is what I needed. Like, I just need to stop eating. And then now, on the opposite end, being bigger, I think like I can manage myself now. Like,
look at this woman. Look at it! I'm not saying people need to shame and mock the person, but you're not healthier. You're just not. Factually speaking, you're not. You're deluding yourself to believe that your size right there is healthier than you when you were losing weight. Again, we need a visual representation to see what that actually looked like. But if I were to assume her at her size right now and you minus 60 pounds, that would be great. And I don't think there's any doctor that would sit and be like, oh no, that's a unhealthy weight you're at. No, you need to get bigger. No.
like, I don't have major health problems. Like, I feel healthy. I try to work out. I eat a vegan diet. I try to eat clean. Yes, I'm bigger, but I feel like I manage it better.
Would it be something for any of the disagreeers? Like, would you be open to wanting to lose weight?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm comfortable with my body. I feel good. You know, I wouldn't want to be super skinny, because I just wouldn't. But like,
feeling good and being good are two different things. And some of these people can easily be delusional on both ends, from the ones who are too skinny and too big. But when people have these talks, sometimes it's just a jerk off session of trying to build up people's egos and self-esteem, which can be good to some extent, but to me it just feeds into delusion.
I like being the big boy, I guess. I like being beefy. I go to the doctor, I check myself in. I know in the long run, this is going to affect me health-wise. Yeah. But as of now, I am comfortable and within my own skin. Like, this is me. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm the fat friend in the friend group.
Does it get on you being like the fat friend though?
Got on me.
To me, no. Yeah. And like, yeah, and to everybody's different. Some people, you know.
I think everyone's different.
Well, I think from my perspective, the way I see it, it seems like the extremes can be occupied by women a bit more. Like, you know, we have to look at people like Lizzo or other very heavy women and say they're beautiful, they're big and beautiful, and then very, very skinny, stick thin women, and they're the beautiful models. And men kind of seem to be able to occupy the middle ground, and that's it.
I'd have
like,
to.
I because
I'd have to.
Well, because you look at the dad bod is a little bit overweight.
Yeah.
But the fat guy is always the comic relief. He's never the one who gets the girl. He's never that, right?
Yeah.
They're the fat guy, and the rail stick thin guy is usually a dweeb or a nerd in like kind of a popular culture.
Really good observation. Very true. Spot on right there.
Sure. It's shifted a bit. It shifted a bit with like Timothy Chalamet. And,
I was gonna say like twinks are back in.
That's their back end. But that's what I mean. Is like it more so. It seems like men can occupy that middle space.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to think of like specific actors or like people that I think of immediately when you say dad bod, like maybe Vince Vaughn. He's like really famous, really successful. People think of him very fondly. I don't think most people consider him very big at all. But like to me, that's like a dad bod. Like, it's the only person coming to mind right now.
But I think
little
what
bit.
he's trying to say is
but
that's
there's no middle ground for men. There's no extreme.
He's
for men.
not like
okay.
You don't get like, I mean, look, the movie with Brendan Fraser, The Whale, right? Like that's not ever an attractive instance of a human being to anybody.
Yeah.
But we are definitely told sometimes, maybe even sometimes it's forced down us that like that big woman that looks very, huge woman that you have to find her beautiful in some way. There's going to be categories for it, and pornography, right? These are things that are more heavily sold. The types of lenses of attraction of men kind of span this range where we're supposed to kind of find all attractive, but it seems to be a little bit more precise for men, and that definitely.
And that is very true. It's far more narrow. And yes, there are outliers, but we all know that. There's a reason why if you watch any movie and you see the love interest for the man, or the man being, the one seen as attractive and the women want him, he's never going to be this type of lard. He's usually going to be like Chris Evans or some ridiculously in shape dude.
Fat shaming comes with more hate than skinny shaming.
That I can agree with, because it's viewed as far more obscene, and that's why people hate on it more, especially when you're in a culture and a society within the US that is shoving it down people's throat that you need to accept this. 600 pounds is it's amazing. Like the Tess Holidays of the world are supposed to be seen as the Beyonce, and they're not, and they're clearly not. And when you have the Lizzles of the world who are constantly talking about their fatness, that breeds into society some forms of hatred within fat shaming compared to skinny shaming. But skinny shaming still happens, but nowhere near as fat shaming for sure.
If someone were to call me fat, that is the worst thing anyone could possibly say to me, is saying that you are fat. Whereas skinny shaming, because I've been both in my lifetime. I've never been, fat. I've just been, comments here and there by, whatever. It doesn't mean anything. It gets to me. It really gets to me. But I've been told
it's funny how this person double speaks. First she says it doesn't mean anything, but it gets to me. Like, do you not hear yourself while you're speaking?
Very seriously, on the other hand, that like you're really skinny, like the skinny shaming. It gets annoying, but there's also this high that comes from it.
Yeah.
And I can never imagine being a person in a larger body having to deal with that scrutiny that brings on fat shaming every single day.
Yeah. I think like societal beauty standards they push thinness. So like being skinny shamed, of course it's like any type of harassment and bullying is not okay. But I do think like that is kind of like you said, it's almost like a compliment. Like I just feel like being fat shamed is like more harsh bullying, because like on social media I get comments all the time, and it's like you can never win either when you're fat, because like I can be at the gym working out and the people still call me fat, and I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm here at the gym. Like,
I feel like skinny shaming is a newer.
And that's a fair statement to say, because if someone's fat and in the gym, I think it's a massive dick move to be mocking them. They're there hopefully to improve, not to, get views and attention. But if they're there to actually get work done, you shouldn't mock and ridicule people. It's like, imagine a drug addict going to a crisis center and you start shaming them or mocking them because they're trying to seek help to stop taking drugs. It's dumb and idiotic. and counterproductive too.
Fat, and you're right, it's definitely, in my opinion at least, it just seems far more hateful, especially with society's idea about what is considered beautiful and what isn't.
It's, you know, the typical standard of beauty is a thin white woman, unfortunately.
Exactly. I was actually going to touch, that's a great point, because
No, and it's I don't know where these people believe the beauty standard is, but it amazes me when you meet super skinny people really think that the beauty standard is just a super thin white lady, and it's not true. They've shown time and time again it's that Coca-Cola figure. It's that hourglass shape, and that means you got to have some curves and a bust. I'm telling you, a flat-chested woman with no butt is not viewed as the beauty standard today in 2025. I promise you that.
I've kind of read into the theory of like fat phobia stemmed off of racism to start with, because of course the beauty standard was a skinny white woman. So that's why I feel like it's so much deeper than just being like, you're fat. It's like, well, what do you mean by that? Because clearly it's never going to be the same as to another woman who's just built that way. So the same way with the backhanded compliments with, oh, you could never win. We're at the gym.
It's not no built that way. It's chose to become that way.
What is she doing at the gym? Oh, that's good for her. She's going to the gym. No matter what, like you said, you just can't win. And then with the skinny, that's the high of like what waist, like I'm skinny, like, you know. But that's thank you for touching on that.
As a kid, I was always bullied as the fat kid in school, and like growing up as a kid, you never hear people bully like, oh, look at that skinny guy. Look at that.
That's also not true. A skinny person can be bullied and told that they're skinny bones, and just someone really pick at how small they are, like their wrist and stuff like that. So that exists, though the other is far more the norm, which is definitely true.
It's always like, look at the fat kid. He can't do this, he can't do that.
And the problem.
It doesn't have the same implications, even if it is said.
And the disagree or step forward?
The reason I don't 100% agree is yes, I agree that if somebody called me fat, it would probably hit way harder than being called skinny. Like obviously I think being skinny is a compliment. If someone called me fat, I would freak out. But I feel like since skinny is like the ideal societal body type, it's much more prominent of people harping on really skinny people and really being nasty to them online because they feel like they can, since it's ideal, But then if you fat shame somebody online, people are very quick to jump to their defense. But they're not quick to jump to a skinny person's defense, because it's that's what people want to look like, if that makes sense.
I don't think I agree with that completely, because it's again, it's still stemming with the ideal push. Even though it's still, like I said, it's still not okay. I'm not saying that's okay. I just think that it's worse when it's towards a fat person. Like she said, it also is deeper.
It's not necessarily worse. It's just more prominent. They're both shaming you for things that are in your control.
And just fat and skinny, there's a lot of things that go into that.
I hate to get overly philosophical with this, but it comes to me down to the idea of what exactly is hate when you're talking about what qualifies shaming in as hateful. I don't think that all shaming is hateful. This is maybe a controversial opinion. It is undeniable that our country has an obesity epidemic. There is a large portion of people that are overweight. I'm not saying that shaming always works.
Speaking straight facts there. This guy, he has some good points. I'll give him that.
And that you should come from a place of hatred in particular, but perhaps we need that more than we need to worry about. That we need skinny shaming. And so skinny shaming is maybe not hateful to the individual, but perhaps it's more hateful to the culture to try and shame people for being skinnier, and say oh, you're bone thin, no man would ever love you, or oh, dude, you need to work out and get your muscle up, and that is encouraging people further into unhealthier lifestyles. Whereas I'm not inherently convinced that obviously on individual case-by-case bases, there are instances in which that can be really harmful, to say you're too fat, and it may do that. But overall, I'm not convinced that that's not a good thing, that we're at least making sure more people are aware, being fat's not good.
So would you consider it to be fat shaming if you post something and someone were to say something like, hey, this weight and
That's shameful. Yeah, I think that's shaming, and I think it's a good thing. Yeah.
Sometimes shaming works.
There we go, my guy. Another good gem. And it's good that he can think in that complex fashion, because shaming can be good. There are certain things in society, like he's saying, the obesity epidemic in the US, that is something you don't want to glorify. You don't want to normalize. You do want some levels of shame. The same way when you're looking at commercials, there was a time, and even still, people who smoke cigarettes, you are constantly seeing commercials where people are shitting on that. They're shaming that. And they're doing that because they want to take that out of society. They want to stigmatize smoking to the point where it is nearly gone. You even have your own designated area in the corner to smoke. Like, think about what that is trying to say about the action. And the reason why is because it can cause lung cancer and multiple other health issues. So in that regards, you can already see on a societal standpoint in the US that people are okay with that form of shaming. It should be the same when it comes to being fat. Not like literally the same, because we don't need like a fat designated area, but there needs to be more commercials where it's like, hey, let's start eating differently. Let's start losing weight. Move more, eat less. Campaigns. We need more of that.
I think. Like, I think it worked for me. Like, I saw people posting, and they were bigger than I was, but they were being called, like, disgusting, like, because they were too skinny.
To me, at least, it wouldn't be as harmful as if, because I know I'm skinny. I know I'm skinny. It wouldn't be as harmful if someone were to call me big or whatever.
And also, like, people usually aren't doing it for that purpose. Like, I post on social media as, like, body positive.
Yeah.
And I get so much hate from people that aren't coming from any type of place of, like, well-being, like looking out for my well-being. And then
they're probably not looking out for your well-being, but do you think maybe they're looking out for
like straight
social well-being?
harassment. Like,
they're looking out for the social one. He's dropping more gems. Good.
You know, and it's that's just what it is. Like, my experience, a lot of times I'll respond to hate comments of me like literally doing something like working out, and then I'll still get a bunch of hate comments. Like, there's no end to it. And I've experienced that.
Yeah, and the focus is not her body. It's literally just her working out.
It's literally just to be mean.
Yeah, but if you're promoting particularly a body positivity content, are you not trying to stand in for like a cultural idea when you do that?
I mean, for me, I'm just trying to like exist and live a good life. And I don't even...
Nope, she's being a coward to what he's actually saying. He's saying when you are speaking of body positivity, you are essentially trying to show the positive aspect of existing how you exist. And again, you are quite big. I think body positivity, if it's in the sense where you're like, hey, I am this big and I did make these decisions to become this big, watch me as I change that and get to a healthier weight. If that's your content, good. But if your content is, hey, I'm going to go to the gym just to show you that I'm in the gym, but I'm not actually really trying to lose weight, I just want to give the allure that, hey, I'm doing the thing you're saying that's good, then I can get some people looking at that and being like, wait a minute, you're not really trying to lose weight. You're just doing it like if it's a performance. You're not really trying to lose weight.
You have to do that by promoting body positivity.
I guess, like, I don't directly promote body positivity. Like, I post working out, I post rollerblading, I post
and that's
whatever I'm doing.
Because I'm just like, it's about, you're looking out for yourself at the end of the day.
It's actually more about body neutrality. Like, I can just do workouts, I can rollerblade, I can do what I want in my body, and I'm just showing myself doing it. I don't even have to say anything about body positivity, and someone will come for me.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, there's hundreds of Instagram accounts that have nothing to do with anything, with women who look just like you that get those same comments that you do. They might have nothing to do with the body positivity, body neutrality movement, but it's just because they're in those bodies, they will get those comments.
It still comes down to, is that hate? For the most part, I think what they're doing is they're finding an easy target, because weight is an easy target to poke at fun at anybody. I mean, like, hatred is such an extreme emotion to have towards someone. It sounds like you said they don't really even care about you. It's more an apathy.
It's still hate though, because it's putting the hateful idea or the hateful emotion out into the world. They don't have to know you personally.
What's the hateful emotion about saying people are fat?
Well, I feel that it's more the reaction that So it could be somebody you don't know, right?
Sure.
They're still attacking you personally and getting a personal emotion out of you. As the receiving end, I would view that as hate.
Yeah.
Whether they put it out there with the intention of it hurting you, which I don't see why they would post it if that wasn't the goal, I feel like it's more of how it's received rather than...
Based off of like what you guys are all, spitballing out here, what I'm getting to, it's like, I understand your point of like, it's hate. I understand that some shame, I guess some people think it's good. I personally think like what you said is how you take it. If you take it personally, clearly that's going to hurt your feelings. You have the mindset that probably you have, and a lot of people have that mindset. It really is depending on a case-to-case person. As much as, yeah, cool, calling me fat might motivate me to go and drop some pounds, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to really listen to that because I don't know you.
Some people might take it extremely personally, and then that spirals them into depression, some type of other really unhealthy habit. Like, I am used to this, so it doesn't bother me. I literally don't care. Like, I would rather get hate comments if I'm like helping some people feel comfortable in their bodies, but some people won't feel that way. They will feel extremely depressed and sad, and like you guys like spiral, and that could cause other negative effects too.
I am terrified of gaining more weight.
You guys afraid of gaining weight?
So I started recovery actually in September of 2024. I have gained about 30 pounds since then. I mean, it's great, but at the end of the day, like sometimes my head doesn't match like my body.
Yeah, I have like the same thing. Like it's like a teeter-totter. Like I don't want to get to a point where I'm like, oh, I need to start starving again. So I want to like I've gained weight too, and it's a good thing, but then I'm like, it's a slippery slope where I feel like if I gain too much in my head, it'll be like, no, go back.
For me, it's more dysmorphia fueled.
Yeah.
Like I already don't see myself as the weight that I technically am. And so just like the idea of a number going up plus my brain already messing with me, it's just going to take it completely out of control and it's going to start a spiral for
That
me.
dysmorphia is real, bro.
Yeah.
I have like nightmares about the number on the scale.
Yeah.
Like 120 pounds. Like I have nightmares when I get on the scale and I'm 120. And I know that's so bad to say, but
it's
I have dreams.
You're honest,
Yeah.
I don't want to be mean. I don't. But these women sound, or girls, whatever age they are, they sound like bimbos. They sound so dumb. And it sounds like if they enjoy it, and they'll say, oh, I know I'm not supposed to say this, I'm not supposed to say this. But no, like it's so dumb what you're saying. You being 120 pounds is a nightmare? No, my God. That's like a fucking airhead.
I'm obviously in a very different position than you guys. But I don't want it to go up because that means I've lost progress. That means I've gone in the wrong direction. It's important to me to continue my journey downward, even if it's slow, even if it's just 1 pound a day. I don't want that number to go up because at my heaviest, I was near 400 pounds. I don't ever want to see those numbers again, and I want them to keep going down. If they go up, it's a sign of, I think, more than just a failure to continue on the trajectory I want to be on. It's also a general kind of failure of my will, which is something that's extremely critical to how I progress forwards. Of course, I think it's from a very different perspective than what you guys feel. My terror comes from the place of having seen very massive numbers.
So what's your goal with?
And that's like, this guy's, from the mini Jubilee videos I've seen, he is saying some really great solid points, because it's dangerous when those numbers get into those high 400, 500, 600, 700. That's extra dangerous. So it's good that he's able to acknowledge and realize those numbers going up is not good. And he is correct. It is a matter of will. It 100% is. And I believe these companies out here, these diet companies and multiple fitness industries, multiple people within the fitness industry make it seem as if it's a difficult thing when it's not. It all comes down to, do you want it, and are you willing to just track what you eat?
What the fuck is going on here?
And make sure you're in a deficit. If you do that, you will lose weight 100%. And don't listen to people who say, oh no, with my type of body, that's not going to work.
Women, when we do the same diets as white women, we lose less weight and we lose it slower. The racism that you're experiencing and the struggle to make ends meet actually means the diet don't work for you the same.
Disregard that, Frank. It's a bunch of liberal bullshit.
It will work. If you are in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. And if you do that consistent enough, you will see your body change. And if you add working out on top of that, then not only your body will change, you will also develop, muscles if you're doing strength training and so many other great health benefits. But don't let people make it seem as if it's magic, like if it's something groundbreaking where you need drugs or Ozempic. You don't. It's having the willpower and the consistency that's going to get you to your goal.
Weight loss.
I want to be healthy. For me, healthy means that I am comfortable. I don't have issues where I, snore or have sleep apnea at night. I don't have difficulties with, long endurance activities. I can go to the doctor and feel comfortable. And for the most part, I want to know that when I am sitting there in front of my kids, I'm presenting what I think is a good example of an ordered human being to them, of somebody who's in a good position. They're little right now and they see me and they know I'm big. And but I don't want them to think that this is what they ought to be.
Good. Perfect. 10 out of 10 statement right there.
Thing like I could relate to a little bit because I wouldn't classify myself right now as anorexic. It was like kind of more towards middle school for me that I became anorexic because I'm a twin. My twin is really small. She's really skinny. So, and I'm tall. I'm like 5'10", so I'm like half a foot taller than her. So all my life I felt big just because of our height difference, and we're the same age.
Yeah.
So that led me to starvation and all that. And then after a couple years, I got into recovery, and now I've been good. But it's never something that has permanently changed, because an eating disorder, it's not as much your body as it is your mind.
Yeah,
it's your mind controlling you for
yeah.
sure.
When would you say you recovered?
It's your mind controlling you, true, but people need to understand you can't keep hiding behind that. And I don't know if I can't find a word for it, but there are people who hide behind conditions, even though it's possible for them to consciously make an effort to change. They just accept that, well, I've been diagnosed with this thing, so I just can't change. I just have to accept it. That's just me. There are things where you cannot change. There's nothing you can do. But a lot of the mental aspects, you can change. It just comes down to making that choice.
Or gave yourself that label of recovered?
I would say when I was about 16. So it was probably like 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah, and it's still something you struggle with.
It's still something, yeah, for sure.
For me, for myself, I'm not petrified, if I gain weight or not. It's not like, oh my God, I eat a celery stick and I'm gaining 20 pounds. Actually, in 2019, I was at my heaviest, which was way over 300 pounds. I was really ballooning. But during COVID, I took instead of gaining more weight, I decided to just focus on myself, since I had so much time on myself, to lose weight. And I was able to control my eating habit, control my weight, lose weight. But for me, at least, I know my weight does fluctuate. But I have gone to the doctor. I am overweight, but I don't have any underlying condition as of now. So just like you guys said, it's a mindset. As long as we're healthy, or at least we're trying to push ourselves to be in a healthy position, that's my end goal, at least.
I kind of relate to how you were saying, because growing up, I was always a little bit bigger, but I was really athletic. I played ice hockey, so I had thick thighs and lots of muscle. And looking back, I was not overweight, but I was told because my height, I'm tall, I had a lot of muscle, and I always had this horrible body image that you're so obese and fat, but I had no fat on me. I might have had a little bit of fat, and I was thick, so I had a lot of
one thing I'll say is that they've bastardized the word thick so much. And one thing on top of that, there's a lot of people who speak like that and they say a little this, a little that. You have to understand that is an extremely subjective thing. That's why I know it's not good. Well, Jubilee wouldn't allow showing pictures of the person to really illustrate what they're saying, but I'm very, very confident that what this person is describing as just a little bit of fat here, a little bit fat there, wasn't just a little bit. I'm very confident about that.
Bad mindsets from a young age, because back then it was like be thin, and even though I was pretty thin, I was thicker and I had thicker thighs, and so it started that mindset of really negative body image. And so I went through a lot of like eating disorders as well growing up, so I also experienced like both sides of it, because I at one point had lost so much weight in a very unhealthy way. Like I restricted myself, I was not eating at all, I got no nutrition, and I was working out intensely. I played hockey in college as well, and I was at my highest of like restricting, but also working out for like hours a day. I felt super unhealthy, and then I would binge, and then I started going back and forth between binging and restricting, and it was super unhealthy, and I was just at like a horrible mindset for my early 20s. After I became a little bit older, I realized like, no, this isn't healthy, and although I'm like at my biggest weight now, I don't feel unhealthy right now. I work out, I really try to be healthy, and
that doesn't even make sense. She's literally admitted to being at her heaviest right now and doesn't feel unhealthy. This ideology, the whole fat acceptance, and it's taken over this woman's mind so much that she can't look in the mirror and say, hey, yeah, where I am isn't healthy. And I have a high suspicion, and I could be wrong, more than likely her doctor is a part of that ideology as well. If they can't look at her and say, hey, you know what, the weight you're at, it's not good for you. It's not good for your joints. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for multiple different organs in your body. And if you continue to gain weight, you're not going to get healthier. But the fact that she doesn't have people in her corner telling her that, that's a shame and sad. And people like that have been captured into this mindset. And even if you give them and show them the rational holes in their beliefs, because they're that deep and entrenched in it, and it becomes a part of their identity, because I'm willing to bet for her, fatness is her identity. Losing it, it seems if she were to lose that, she would feel she's losing herself. And that's bad. And she needs to detach them from her identity. Being fat and that being you shouldn't be the case.
I don't know, I feel like it's hard because like I'm not scared of gaining weight, because I've kind of worked so hard at my body image and making it a positive one, and not being so worried about gaining weight, because I used to be super worried about gaining weight. So I think I'm at a place where I'm trying to be healthy with my own mindset and not so worried, and I'm not focused on my weight. If I pretty much stay the same. I don't gain or lose. I'm just living my life in this bigger body now.
Not that I'm saying that, not that I'm presuming that you have any health complications whatsoever, but does that ever scare you, like thinking about what could be in the future with your current body right now?
I am in so much control of myself right now. Like I feel super, I don't know how to, I guess, say it, but yeah, I feel, like empowered. Like I know my body, I know myself, and like I can control it. I'm at a point where like I can control it. I just don't feel scared I'm gonna gain weight. Like, and if I do gain a little bit of weight, I'm not like at that place when I was younger where I'm like spiraling and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm gaining weight. Like, oh my god, this is crazy. Now I'm I'm at a different place, and like I've come a long way. Like I'm also a plus size model, so I have like a lot of different other.
Exactly what I said. It's her identity. It's her job. When you're at that place where that's what pays your bills, you can't escape it, because you feel like if you escape it, you're going to lose out on jobs. In reality, I don't think she would, but maybe in her own mind, that's what she feels.
Paths that I've been like a lot of different other voices in my head, and I experience a lot of hate in different ways, but being a plus size model now like is very empowering, and I'm like, this is for my younger self to show people, like regardless of your gender, like boys and girls and any age, that you know, we deserve to have representation, and it's okay, like, to be bigger and live in a bigger body. And, like, I try to live my life and do things that I love regardless of my size.
Would there ever be a point for people who are not scared? Would there ever be a point for you guys, whether it's a number, whether it's something physical happening to you, that you would then become scared of gaining more weight?
The reason I guess I don't fear it as much as to a point, because worst thing you could be is fat. And so I'm like, cool, I knocked that down. I've been fat, I've been skinnier, I've been fluctuating, like you said, back and forth. And I've also done the work myself to get the results of what's my body mass, what's my weight, what's everything, like my water intake. Like, I know what I need to do. So for me, it's no longer coming to place from fear, but like motivation of like, dang, like I didn't know how to go about it for so freaking long. And then my body was telling me like, you need to lose just so you're able to just navigate, be healthy, climb some freaking stairs, do something easy, drop low, like, you know, something very fun. But because I want that for myself, and I know that I've lived in fear, like you said, since I was a little girl. I self-harmed because of it. I did a lot of bad things to myself because of what I perceived of myself and my mindset. So for me, I received and surrendered. And so that's why now I'm like, I'm not scared to go on the scale and be like, I gained 2 pounds today. Because you know what? Easily I can knock them down.
I prefer dating my body type.
What she said right there, it shows someone who is looking at the little things, but not looking at the whole of what they're saying there. If you're gaining 1 pound, 2 pound, yeah, you shouldn't panic over that. That's just too drastic. But if we change those numbers and say 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, I wonder what her response would be. And I'm willing to bet those 2 ladies would tap dance around it. They would never try to address it, and they would keep trying to go back to 1 or 2 or a little bit of weight. If I gave them concrete numbers, they would try to escape it.
So like go to the gym and work out.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
That was like the one thing.
100%. I totally like messed that up 100%.
No, I
Oh my God, pussy route. She should simply say, yes, you can go to the gym, but you're still not my body type.
I don't know, like, why, for me, the leanness of it is just more attractive to me. I'm not sure, like, I don't have a reason for it, just like, if I...
You more than likely she does. She's just a coward and not able to say that, knowing that this is going to go onto YouTube and millions of people are going to see it. So she's more than likely is in a bubble where if you say that type of thing and be honest and straight up of why you prefer leaner, I don't know, they're able to fit in clothes better. I don't know, maybe they could potentially live longer. I don't know, maybe they can do these activities with you more efficiently. I don't know. I can just keep saying multiple different things, but this type of person is more than likely a coward to telling the actual truth of what they believe.
I was attracted to like specific race or like what a specific eye color, specific hair color.
Well,
like I don't know why.
Everybody has a type.
Yeah. So that's just like just my type. Like if I met someone who I thought was attractive, who was heavier set or even like skinny, but they went to the gym, that'd be amazing. Like I would love that too.
You would.
But for me, I never really had that. It was I don't really have a type specifically.
I've never experienced what you have about like feeling triggered by a partner. Maybe that's because I've always been the smaller one. But you know, I've been with people who are significantly bigger than me and people who are, you know, kind of match me a little bit more. I wouldn't really say, in my opinion at least, there's a difference in my head from like someone being, you know, skinnier versus bigger, but again, everybody's different.
Right.
When you guys say bigger, I want to clarify. When you guys say bigger, you just mean a taller guy?
I just mean not skinny.
Okay,
I just
do you mean fat guys? Do you date fat guys?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah,
I must
absolutely.
be shallow because I will.
He should have pushed him.
Definitely skinny like me. No. Want him like built, like Nick Bosa looking, like ripped.
Maybe it's hypocritical, but like I typically before I met my wife, who I was looking for tended to be skinnier people, and it wasn't because like I had like some deep self-loathing. Well, one, it was because I found that more attractive, because that's just how I'm wired. And two, it was because typically speaking, if I'm going to meet somebody and they're heavier, they probably are not in the trajectory to lose weight. And I knew where I was headed though, and I didn't want to meet someone who was headed in the opposite direction.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can understand that.
I would agree with you on that.
For the reason why I didn't agree, it's not because I don't know. It might sound funny the way I say it, but I don't think I haven't had the choice to make the people that have always come to me. Most of the men have all been skinny or tiny. And then that led to the whole certain like fetishes about how like I've heard you said that. And then a couple of them did. And then I mean, my fluidity is very much like men, women, whatever, space creatures. I don't really care. I don't really care. But that's what I mean by like I don't think I've ever had a perception of what my type is other than confident.
I feel like I could have definitely explained much better, but I was up here and I was kind of stressed. But I think like as far as like wanting to be with someone, like love and obviously like personality and heart and who they are at their core, that is what love is about. But I'm probably not going to romantically love someone who is not within my type. And there are just certain people that I just don't find attractive.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Obviously, like too big, I'm kind of like, oh, okay. But if they're like on the, not to bring up BMI again, but if they're on like, maybe they're slightly overweight or like on the higher range of normal, like that's fine. I don't care.
I'm like, you have to have abs.
I want to push a little back on what you guys were saying, because I know you say any type, within reason, and I don't disbelieve you, but like you said, you basically
100% disbelieve you, and I could never be on a panel like that, because when I smell bullshit, especially when I see people are trying to tap dance around it, I am going to point it out like a hawk.
Define like a BMI line, like I'm comfortable if they're a little on this scale here, and I think in reality, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, when you say like I really don't got a type, you mean like you go stick thin or like she's really big.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Just personality.
Let's be real. You guys don't really mean that. You guys aren't willing to date like Brendan Fraser and the Whale. I know you are. I know you are. Like your scale is still like there are extremes to you.
But it's
not
not
really
about
extremes.
Brendan Fraser and the Whale.
That is Brendan Fraser. He can't move.
Yeah, well, but I mean, there's a limit, right?
To a degree, yeah.
You'd be surprised how few guys have limits.
I would say,
and I hate that comment, but there are some guys, but those guys are fucking losers and degenerates who find anything attractive, like that stereotype of they'll hit anything that walks. People like that, to me, are crazy people.
I feel like you'd be surprised how shallow men think women are, though, about that sort of stuff.
I will admit, I think women are shallow. I do.
Very shallow. I will admit it right.
Both are shallow, and anyone who tries to tell you that's not true are liars.
Here right now.
I would say I would never like innately say any weight of person or any race of person or anything like that, any hair color, doesn't matter to me. I would never say that's never my type. I would never say.
My detector test determined that was a lie.
Coward, liar, 100%, because you can easily challenge that by giving them the extreme and see if they say, well, I'm not interested in that. And if they give the cop out and say, oh, you know what, so I can win points and win this argument, yes, I'm into that. Then you ask them, tell me in your life where that has happened. And then you end up finding out that that's their stance in theory, but never in practice.
Say that. However, I would say for the most part, my type has been guys who are taller than me, 100%, dudes who are not smaller than me because of how it makes me feel, and guys who are not too much bigger than me, whether it's obese or whether it's like a bodybuilder. It doesn't matter. Like
be clear,
within,
I think those qualifications are great. I think you should have those kinds of standards. What I'm trying to say is men don't usually even have those standards.
I've been through.
Now he's saying some wrong points. That's not true. Maybe the degenerates that are around him but a good sizable amount of men will not deal with anything.
Through cases where there's been men who have told me like, oh yeah, like I talked to my mom about you, like her reaction was like, oh, how big is she? Is she the biggest one you've had?
Oh my god.
So I understand what you mean by men really don't have that, but then I've also countered.
I'm gonna have to stop pausing it, but man, I can't stand hearing that. And the fact that there is no other guy, the other fat guy's not gonna say anything. But if there was another sane guy, like, no, give some pushback. Stop saying that, because you wouldn't like if someone sat there and said, hey, women like this, women like that. And you're like, there's a good enough chunk of women who don't like this thing where I can't vouch for that. I can't say that statement. Don't say men have no type and they can just deal with whatever. No, there's a massive amount of men that won't.
The against of men who are like, oh, like I saw you in the elevator, we're about to see each other. He walked right out the elevator.
There's a lot of stuff that men say on the surface, though, that they don't actually hold to. I mean, I think a lot of men will go out there and say, like, I would never do this. I mean, it's a weird tangent to bring up, but the concept of the white supremacist guy who has like a Mexican or a black girlfriend, it happens a ridiculous amount because in reality, their brain is so hardwired that if somebody gives them love and attention, they don't care what they look like. Like, I hate to say it, but sometimes men feel a little starved out here for that. And I'm not saying that women don't always feel that sometimes too, you know, like they don't have those feelings. I just mean that like there is definitely a gap in the perception of men to women and women to men.
I don't really agree with that. I feel like most women have had at least like experienced or friends or family where like you need to lose 10 pounds. Like their partner tells them like you're too fat, you're this, you're that. Like I feel like this is, I mean, maybe that's your experience, but I feel
that's
like
a partner you're already with. That's different than somebody you're not with yet.
But I feel like it doesn't matter.
You know, I've had a lot of guy friends, you know, they'll talk to me about certain, you know, girls that they're interested in, and they'll say, you know, oh, she's cool, I guess, but like I would change XYZ about her.
But does that actually change whether or not they pursue her?
Yes,
Really?
it does.
Okay.
I feel like
I've
most
never,
women
with all of the guys I know, they're not.
Well, you know some really
Degenerates who will,
good guys then, because I feel like a lot of the guys in our society.
I don't think it's a good thing. I think they should be more selective. I think men should be way more selective than they are now. I think we'd have a lot less problems if men were more selective.
I think everyone should have their own standards. I think as humans, we should definitely hold ourselves to certain standards.
I don't think it's wrong to have your type or your standards. Like I think that's fine. It's who cares?
I have a complicated relationship with food.
Every single person there should sit down. If they don't, you know that they are delusional. The obese clearly do, and the anorexic clearly do.
Hey guys.
And I was correct.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be the only one.
I mean,
there is kind of the stereotype of the person who's fat gets fat just from eating a lot of food. And I definitely do eat a lot of food. Let me be clear. I do. I'm a big guy. But it's not just because I'm going there and getting 10 pounds of pasta. What I found, and it was really important for me to understand what about myself made me overeat. When I kind of did the exploration to understand that part about myself, it was kind of a twofold thing. One is having that mindset instilled in me of the don't waste food. Despite the fact that I've been privileged enough to never live like an impoverished life, I've always had money to get whatever kind of food I want to get. And that leads into the second part, which is with that kind of ADHD brain, I love to try things. There are so many times where I'm just like, I want to go to a new restaurant, completely new. And I'm like, wow, this menu looks awesome. I can't wait to try these things. I want to try a little bit of everything. So I will order a bit of everything. And then I get all the food and I eat a little bit of everything. And I'm like, I don't want to waste all this food. I don't waste it all. So then you end up, and it's such like it's such like an obviously bad process. So ironically enough, the solution has been to just understand that part of myself. And I found myself, it's like I'm fortunate enough. This isn't going to work for everybody, but I like going to revolving sushi or tapas places. Obviously, not something everybody can go to all the time, and I don't make it my every meal. But I tend to try to do things where I make myself more variety kind of meals or things like that. So I still get that I'm trying a bunch of different things, but I'm not getting a ton of it. So I don't have to worry about the waste feeling either. I'm not going to eat that.
Being obese or anorexic is a choice.
I'm going 2-for-1 right now. I hope I'm correct on this one. They all should sit there, because if any of them dare to say that it's not a choice, especially as an adult, I'm going to freak out, because that is very, very wrong.
I want to start by saying I've been a big girl since I was small, and I made, like I've said previously, like all the wrong choices to try to help myself. But at the end of the day, now that I have the results or whatever progress I've made, I know that what I chose to, once you get educated on what you should do, your tendency is to like do that. My tendency was a bad one where I was like, well, I know what I need to do, but like that's too hard. That's too hard. Like I can't do that. That's too much money, too much this, too much that. There are all those hardships, but for me, at the end of the day, what I put in my mouth and my body and everything was a choice. But I also know that there's other people that struggle that don't have that.
I agree. And I think even for our side too, like I get that it is different for everybody, but I know for me, I know that I actively made the choice to stop eating, and like it's hard to do, but then you stop being hungry after so long, and it's like I have to do it. Like I made that active choice.
Yeah, and I think also to an extent though, because sometimes just physically your body is different for every human being. You know, the way your metabolism works is different to each and own. Also, like if you have any underlying health conditions, or if you're like disabled, you know, sometimes it's harder for people to lose weight or to gain weight. But then also you're
anytime it's harder to do any of these things, it all stems down from the choices you make. Just like she said, you can choose not to eat, and you can choose to eat. You can choose to eat a lot. You can choose to eat a little. Unless you're being pumped and someone's forcing food down your throat, every time you open up your pie hole and food goes down your throat, that was a choice.